My colleague, what's your take on this? You've been on the ground talking to people, because I talk to you more because you're more of the field work and always on the ground meeting the people. When you look at these three main aspects that the president has said he's working towards for the next 7-year mandate he has, how effective do you think putting things in place will be for him?
Well, I think that the issue is far-fetched from reality. That is the truth. Just like queuing from what our barrister just said, like if you see us here, it's because we are scared. I'm not scared from Northwest Southwest region. I've said earlier on many platforms that a man who knows that he's an actor and is a real elite, let's go back to our village. I can get to my village anytime. I've been there for 10 days. I'll be going back in a week's time, and let anybody who knows that he's a true elite get back to Northwest and Southwest. It means he's doing the right job.
If I understand Barrister, he's talking about the insecurity.
Yeah, the insecurity.
Yes.
No, for the level of insecurity.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's not like he cannot go back to the village, but
no, you know, like I was scared.
People are caught in crossfire, as you said.
And I've been caught in crossfire, and I'll still be in several crossfire because God is taking care. And now, when we look at it, you know, like the way Barrister said in a very nice analytical manner, it looks like as if we're riding on the on horses. Probably paraded by gold and all the like. Now, it's not as easy as you see the way Barrister puts it, you know. You analyze aspects to drop guns, they're not dropping. Like an error he made here by saying that people took up arms. When the peace plan protest started, I want anybody to disprove me here. The military shot at civilians. There was helicopter shooting at Mutengenen, down on the civilians who were marching. Bamenda equally, the military responded. By responded on the side of the population, and there were some casualties. It's from then that this issue of I'm giving the genesis because I was on the ground. I'm not talking like someone was living in Douala by then. And so if we look at it critically, we are saying that we are not here to justify, but we are here to let people, Cameroonians, know the fact that before people took up arms, something transpired. People took up peace plans and they were moving. In the early stage of that march, or that protest march, the government was responsible because there was no retaliation. But at a point in time, we don't know whether some overzealous uniform officers took advantage of that or not. But when some of the civilians were killed at that time, then the situation was we are now for self-defense. This is not where we're supposed to be at this point in time. Now, at the level of the security as per se, we realize that I've said earlier, because Barrister understands more on conflict resolution. I expect Barrister to tell the people here that the procedure engaged by the state is a wrong procedure that has never been engaged under the principles of conflict resolution anywhere in the world. Because with principles of conflict resolution, they are standard. You don't read wrong. You don't put politics into them. Else you give the wrong results on the ground. With conflict resolution, like what happens in Juba, in South Sudan, you understand that step one, groundwork was done on the ground. And with the groundwork being done on the ground, it means you contact the stakeholders who are concerned. Point two, you move now to see how you can meet the first category of persons in a tete-a-tete discussion, still backstage. Like you remember in South Sudan, the preliminary meetings took place in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Very few persons knew that. I've been following the peace process in South Sudan seriously. So these are processes. If we're talking about disarmament comes in after both parties have been able to understand themselves. Disarmament comes in after both parties have been able to understand themselves that, all right, this is what we do. Not in a conflict where one person is giving the upper hand. In the conflict, it's difficult for it to be resolved. That's why I said that in the system of conflict resolution in Cameroon, this is the only country that surprises me in Africa when it comes to conflict resolution, because their methodology put in place does not exist in the conflict resolution principles in the world. So if you look at what is happening on the ground, in the aspect of dialogue, like we're talking about, Barrister was saying people should drop down their arms. It does not mean that they should keep their arms, but I mean, no matter how we interpret this, dropping your arms means you should surrender. Now the question is, if two persons are involved in a conflict, are you sure the other person has confidence in the other person who has the upper hand? If that trust is not there, which is the case between the restoration forces and the government and the government bench, it becomes difficult. That's the most why I say that if we are honest to ourselves, the government knows exactly what to do to bring this conflict to an end. I repeat, with the intelligentsia of the government, they know who to contact. So at the end of it, we like taking shortcuts, and that's why it's becoming costly for us to sustain this conflict right to where we are. So looking at the security aspect, it's true, head of state said people have to lay down their arms. Steps have been taken to beef up security ever than before. But I think that...
And he said the Disarmament Commission is still working. And
yeah.
still expecting people to approach them.
To approach them, good. When the Disarmament Commission was put in place, I was few of the Cameroonians who said it's a failed commission from the beginning. And many persons almost crucified me. Why do you say fail? Because at the level of analysis, I see that the principle of conflict resolution has not even been attained. And secondly, when you look at it critically, if disarmament is working, then the multiplicity of attacks would have reduced. Now, who are you talking to? Who are you meeting? For this Cameroon conflict to come to an end, there must be joining background. I say not media, not holding media conferences in Yaoundé, as the government ministers hold day in, day out, talking what they are talking. It is a matter of going at the background, you leave media aside and you meet them. And to be honest with you with the dialogue, if President Paul Biya talks about people of goodwill, who are those of goodwill? It's another million question we have to ask ourselves. Because we're talking about people of goodwill, we should be talking about a situation whereby you meet the target. Ayuk, Siseko and Co. are in prison. These are the principal actors in the conflict. Another government is in the diaspora. Those are another persons also in the conflict. And so if you don't get the diaspora, you don't get Ayuk Tabi and the rest, we will be playing over time. And remember, in conflict resolution, just like what happened with Boko Haram, in each conflict that is on board, know that there are second, third, fourth and even fifth persons in command. It's obvious in any conflict. That is peculiar to conflicts in Africa and in the world. Because even those who carry out the conflict know that the head could be killed. The unforeseen can happen at any time. So therefore, in order for the conflict not to be not to end prematurely, there must be somebody. And so, if you look at it critically, today is Saturday. Restoration forces are on the ground, for example, and people are being killed. Military is being killed day in, day out. Civilians are killed. Restoration forces themselves too are being killed. Now, a government has been formed abroad. Today they are in America, Washington, and they are parading. Talking about Free Siseko and Co. Naira 10. It's currently going as I speak. You understand? Now, these are persons who have instructed us here in Cameroon, and we are afraid because you don't know who is who. I am not safe. The military is not safe. Civilians are not safe. And so when they tell you today is ghost town, today people started activities in Bamenda, Northwest and Southwest. Out of a sudden, Bamenda came to a standstill. Gunshot left or right. A vehicle, some vehicles have been burnt, brought the light. You see that we are talking because we live the reality on the ground. And so when we come to platform of this nature, I think that what has killed us in this Cameroon is because people have not been honest to call a spade a spade. If a government falters, it's not a crime, because to err is human and to forgive is divine. In France has given us clear example. I want to let people know that the disaster that occurred in the recent riot in France was alarming. Vehicles were burnt, shops were looted. I mean, it was disastrous. But what happened? People are not in prison. People have not been killed. Excuse me, I'm coming. People are not in prison, and that people have not been killed. It is true, arrests have been made. But let me tell you something. Just like Barrister, like he's surprised that people are not in prison.
Yeah, because they gave a number of people who were arrested every time in each city.
Yes. So
more than 300.
Now I'm coming to it now. If we look at the current events in France, what makes it peculiar? Macron himself came out publicly,
the same thing,
and apologized. These are qualities of a leader. I said Macron said he now understands the gravity of the situation and apologized and put in place stringent measures that are on board to redress the situation. That's why you see calmness returning to France now. So what am I saying? I'm saying that if Cameroon is a colonial, is a product of France, we think that our leaders too are supposed to have taken that. It's not by force all the time that works, because the military that have been on board for 2 years, getting to 3 years, is proving that the method is not working. And therefore, those who have done strategic and military strategies should know that they need to rethink. I have been saying over here, Barrister is here as a witness, even Akko here. Why do you think that Amber fighters are killed every day and they keep resisting? For one reason, which I doubt what the Ministry of Defense is doing. Because the advisor should have told the military that now, since as we keep burning houses, for what reason? When an Amber fighter attacks here and runs into the quarter, to the military it means they live in this area, we should burn them. We should burn the houses here. But you forget to know that when you burn the houses and people are killed, Those whose houses are burnt, many of them get back into the bushes to revenge against the military. That's the most why, if you look at statistics on the ground, you have more than 3,000 fighters. And the more the military kills, the more they multiply. These are facts that the government could verify on the ground. And so it gives you the idea that the way the head of state speaks, as if they will be neutralized like good morning, it is true. They will be killed as they have been killed. But it might not end the way we think, unless there's a different strategy he has. So it is a call for concern that whether it's Amber fighters, whether it's civilian, whether it's military, so long as they are Cameroonians, there's a call for concern that if we use strategy 1, we use strategy 2 as not working, we need to get back to the drawing board to be strategized. And that is the reason why I keep on appealing that in a government that has the people at heart, if tactics have not gone, then people should get back to the table. As I said clearly, Manuela,
thank you very much.
If right persons are contacted for this conflict,
it will come to an end.
Siseko is removed out of prison. Those who are controlling the diaspora are brought into a platform which must be guaranteed by a third party because there's lack of trust. Now, the people of the north, west, and southwest who are propagating the conflict, they don't trust the government any longer. And so if you get a third party that comes in a neutral ground, accepted by both parties, I think we'll begin talking about the lead way to end the conflict.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farah.